Hello, everybody. Shaun, you're finally back. You are finally back.
I am finally back. I am finally back after what seems like all of the transportation in the world. Eddie is suffering from the bubonic plague at the moment.
A little bit.
I got hit by the jet lag demons rather hard.
However, that will not stop us from discussing the first of the 360th anniversary specials. Because I don't know about anybody else, but we've heard my views on this episode in quite great detail in the ups and downs and the Easter eggs. But I want to know what Shaun's views are.
I loved it, and I really enjoyed it. I've watched it a couple of times now. So I was coming from America, so Disney Plus, obviously over there, has it.
Oh yeah, you watched it on Disney Plus. Was that weird?
It was odd. It was good odd. But it was good because it did mean that the first time I watched it was on a rather nice television. So it was on like, look at this with the size of the screen. The second time it was on my phone, which is decent. Wasn't the size of the television.
Slight downgrade.
It's just a tiny little bit. Really, really enjoyed the episode. And because I didn't do the ups and downs, this doesn't sound big-headed when I say, really enjoyed the ups and downs, Ellie. Good job.
Oh, thank you. I tell you what, that was actually quite scary. I mean, you're quite used to doing the ups and downs. Like, Trek has a new episode out practically every week. I've only ever done 2 ups and downs for Doctor Who, and they were over a year ago. So I was like, yes, I talk about Doctor Who to you lot on a weekly basis, but the ups and downs, there's quite a lot of pressure on those. So you'll all be pleased to know that next week it's going to be on to Shaun.
I love that. I'm kind of like, oof, that one episode was heavy. Now I gotta take a 2-week break and everything. No, fair. Because God love you. I know you have clashing plans that night.
I'm
my heart went
gutted,
out to
but
you.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a really good day planned, so I'm going to have a great day, but I'm gutted that I kept basically all of November free and still wasn't available for at least one of the episodes.
Poor Danny, I hope you leave this bit in the edit. First, I tell him, oh, by the way, the month of the anniversary, I'm gone for that month. Yeah, 60th anniversary of Doctor Who. Yeah, I'm taking a big long holiday.
There was a time where I was going to come with you to America. Could you imagine if we'd both gone? I think we realised at the time we can't do that. That's anniversary month. But there was a point, Danny, that you nearly didn't have either of us. As I said, I broke down the episode quite thoroughly in the ups and downs, but I do have a few points that I had views on that I particularly want to know your thoughts on. So We'll kind of go in a bit of a chronological order. I've also just thought of another one that I haven't written down, but I'll get to that one in a minute. So first of all, that opening recap. Because, I mean, you've seen the ups and downs. I personally felt like, yes, it was beneficial to someone who was maybe new to Doctor Who and this was their coming in point. But I also felt a little bit like the fact that we had the return of Catherine Tate and David Tennant, to me, suggested that the majority of people watching were very much aware of all of those things that we'd just been shown again. And so I gave it an up and a down because I was like, yes, for the new viewers, but for someone like me, I was like, I already know this.
That was like, because I agreed with your up and down from that one. It's like, because it's being billed as, well, with Ncuti Gatwa, it's being billed as a new era of Doctor Who. It's being billed as, I don't know if these specials count as, they're talking about like season 1 again. So I get that it's about pushing new viewers and content to bring new audiences in. And so, yeah, you needed a little bit of, right, okay, here's the context, right, here's what you need to know. But you made a good point as well, which was this could have been an online kind of, and it wouldn't be the first time. If going back 10 years, the Night of the Doctor, which is fairly crucial for the Day of the Doctor, 99% sure that is on iPlayer. But like that was, I got that via YouTube. You know?
It might have been like on the red button or something on Sky or something. Is that still a thing? I don't know. The only other thing, I mean, obviously we did have some feedback from my comment there saying that, people that might be new to it might not think to check something online before coming into it. I think maybe something else that I didn't feel quite worked is with David Tennant kind of standing, he was kind of floating in space and there was this kind of side sun thing going on. It felt a little bit like our videos where I sit there with a TV screen next to me, but nothing actually appeared next to him. I was like, what's happening in this gap here? I think maybe personally, I think it would have worked better if it was just a previously on, as opposed to this kind of built up let's tell the audience a story. I know they were trying to go a different direction with it, but actually if you'd just done like a dramatic previously in Doctor Who or
because even
something.
actually they that's now forgive me if you made this point, the ups and downs, but like they did with Twice Upon a Time, you know, previously on, and then you have the footage from the 10th planet that then kind of molds into David Bradley playing the first Doctor, and it's exactly, you mean, that worked for me.
We used a lot of footage from series 4 in that recap, so it kind of felt like you had the storytelling and the actual flashbacks. You probably could have shortened it down to half the amount of time that it actually was, and kind of just reduced it to a previously with a voiceover, maybe. I don't know.
That's I'm on the same page as you there. But which means it's grand and we are free from any kind of criticism because we are united.
Okay, so we'll move on. Well, I won't dwell on this too much because we've spoken about this in the build-up massively anyway, but once the moment finally arrived and we saw the Doctor and Donna reunited, I mean, that made me just instantly feel 10 years old again. And how did you feel seeing them back together again?
I mean, look, I just loved it. For me, funnily enough, for me, the big moment came as Donna gets her, spoilers, as Donna gets her memories back. I just thought, like, there we go. I was slightly horrified when Sylvia goes, but honey, that was 15 years ago. It was what?
15 years.
Yes. I don't like thinking about time, ironically, as a fan of Doctor Who. And I know I've already taken us off kilter. Big, massive up to Jacqueline King, because there's so many moments in this episode that people are kind of rightly lauding, and I just like, Sylvia was brilliant.
I think a lot of people didn't like her character in series 4 because of the way that she treated Donna and made Donna feel. Sure. And I think this story really kind of gave her that redemption arc almost, where you just have this deeper understanding of the fear she must live in, knowing that all of these things happen in the world and she is completely helpless in preventing Donna from remembering.
Even if, say, she's flicking through the channels and Star Trek is on, you know, she's like, change the channel, put on the tennis, put on, you know, anything else. Because she must, like you said, just live in fear this whole time. Because as it's said, you know, she says to the Doctor, like, you said if she sees you. And he goes, technically I said if she remembers me. Because, which is actually a good point. And I'm sure I was terrible for my research for this episode. I should have watched Journey's End again. But like, right after he wipes Donna's memories, he sat in the living room.
Yeah. He says goodbye to her. He doesn't sneak out. He literally says goodbye to her. And she's like, yes, yeah. I tell you what is slightly strange, though, and people have pointed out, I have to believe that he's been filled in on the situation was the character of Shaun just being totally unfazed by the whole Meep situation in the living room. That was such a funny moment when he walked in. He's like, something smells like, nice.
You know, all right, Dad's home. Tune a mattress. I hope he wasn't. I hope he literally walked in, saw that tableau, had no context, and was just like,
he's just a chill guy. He just takes it as it comes.
Yeah. And also, to say the man has aged well.
I'm glad that we've seen more of him, because we really only saw him very, very briefly in the End of Time, and it could have this story could have very easily sidelined him. And I know he wasn't, you know, in it massively, but we could have very easily not seen him at all.
For sure, he was used very well.
He was used well. I mean, obviously we had to learn all of this. We needed all of the information. Needed to be filled in on the last 15 years, and it couldn't come from Donna, and Sylvia wouldn't be willing to fill the Doctor in. She'll slap him around the head and tell him to go away. So you needed someone in the middle.
Like, you needed that exposition character, which he served that role, but he didn't feel like it. And I think that was very good, both in terms of writing and acting.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so let's take another step in. Obviously, there was a big build-up as well to the introduction of the Meep and the Wrarth. Now, I know it's the Wrarth, but we've done Wrarth for so long that I'm not stopping now.
I think that's fair enough. Yeah, I saw. So there must be. Hello, new viewers. It's very nice to meet you all. Ongoing joke. Been doing it for a year. So sometimes because you get this an awful lot over on as you know, as you're kind of like, you know, oh you said this wrong, or you know, kind of, oh, that's explaining this. I'm like,
when we first got given the word Wrarth, we had no idea how to pronounce it, and so we were like, it's the Wrarth.
we're like the Joker. Some people just want to watch the world burn. So you know,
but more
so
to the
in
point,
that respect, we're on the side of the Meep.
More to the point, though, Meep and the Wrarth Warriors, they looked amazing. I mean, in my view, and I learned afterwards, because in the ups and downs, I made a suggestion that Meep was more computer generated than was actually the case, because I watched Unleashed after the ups and downs were recorded, and learned that at 90% of the Meep was practical. And it makes it even more impressive and even more Doctor Who
has remained this way. Like, so obviously there was very legitimate budget reasons for years and years and years. It's like, you know, I don't know if anyone watching this remembers Art Attack with Neil Buchanan. Is like, you know, kind of, you get some sticky back plastic, you know, you get the egg carton and everything. We didn't realize that we were watching the behind the scenes of Doctor Who 1963 to 1996 as we were watching this. And that's something they've kept, because I was very aware. We'd seen the trailers of the Wrarth. I was like, how's this? Because they're so clearly right. This is practical effects and everything. What's this going to look like? And it worked.
They were really impressive. And I made a comment on this in the ups and downs as well, and I very much stick by it. A big element of why I loved this episode was how much of it was practical. And I think I mentioned this as well, the previous few years have relied a lot more on the CGI elements, and while they do look very impressive, to me, even though they're probably just much harder work, to me it feels like cheating, and that's not what Doctor Who is. Doctor Who is about having someone inside a rubber costume, and I think that's what made this episode, you know, they built that spaceship, well, not all of it, but the bottom half was built into the location. Meep was a puppet and a person inside that suit, and that to me made it even better.
Yeah, no, I agree. One of the great practical effects of the last few years, because I agree, like CGI, it's a tool. You know, it's a tool like anything else,
they used it to enhance. Fine. You know, they did use it to enhance Meep, to add those finer details, but it wasn't what was relied upon.
What, you mean that mouth movement from the court scene onwards wasn't practical? That was CGI. I am shocked, I tell you. Shocked.
No, it wasn't CGI. The mouth movements were a genuine remote control puppet.
Some of that must have been. Man, now.
I mean, the transition, maybe.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I was going to think, one of my favorite practical things of the last few years was the Carvanista in Flux. I was like, he's a big dog, and it makes me very happy.
I guess maybe this is a good place to lead on to something that I think is up for massive debate, and I said in the ups and downs, even myself and Danny disagreed on this. Something that I wasn't a big fan of was the super upgrades of the sonic screwdriver.
Oh yeah, no, I disagreed with you. Sorry. No, I love it. This is one thing. This strikes me as something they would have been doing from the first appearance of the sonic screwdriver had they the budget. And I do, honest to God, I respect where you're coming from. Now, I loved it because it kind of feels like, oh, finally the Sonic's it's doing what it's been able to. It kind of feels like he's always been doing this around the corner. But also, I know, because obviously it's our real introduction to Shirley Ann Bingham as well. When she comes up, like, you know, and they have the whole, I'm number 57. 56, cool, of the unit. Can I just say so we've seen years and years, we've seen Ruth Madeley in roles before. Is my little soapbox moment. Disability looks different on different people.
I knew where you were going with that.
Oh my God, the amount of people who are like, you know, she's in a wheelchair, but she crossed her legs. Yeah.
That doesn't mean that she can't move her legs. It means she can't walk on them.
Exactly. Have you heard of spina bifida? Have you done? Yeah. So sorry, that was just like because that was one of the sillier critiques. Now I've seen some critiques, some which are fair, and some which are absolutely just nonsense. And that's one of the ones I thought was absolute nonsense. Because
absolutely. I want to just quickly slide back to the Sonic just for a second because
sorry,
I
went off on a tangent.
That's okay.
There, yeah.
I had a thought when you were talking about it. I think the first scene where it kind of created the little Avengers style, Star Trek style screen, that I kind of feel slightly more okay with, just because, again, that feels like something that a tool would be able to do. Maybe my issue more is that if it can suddenly create shields that deflect bullets, then the argument being that why they've never done that before. And now I think following from that, anytime they're being shot at, the argument's going to be, well, why are you not using the Sonic as a shield? Because you did it in that episode. And it feels like they've now set themselves up to have to explain every time they can't do that, why they can't use the Sonic for that purpose.
That one I do agree. Like, I like it, but you've now written it in. You've Chekhov's gunned it. So if you can do this solid wall of matter that stops any weapons or anything getting through to you, there you go. Technically, what I did like, because I can hear the Furious typing, is that he has to do it in real time.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't just create a shield; you have to draw it.
Yes. So I will easily. You've also given yourself the out by going, well, hang on, I'm being shot at right now, and I don't have a wall to hide behind to make my wall. Mm-hmm. So that is one way around that.
And again, sorry, just going back to the practical part of that, the way they filmed that, they genuinely had bulletproof glass perspex to get the shots of those bullets repelling. To create that, obviously the shield itself had to be CGI'd because it was kind of computery and see-through and whatever. But the way they filmed that, again, was practical predominantly.
I love this idea of just like David Tennant reading the script for this, going, I'm sorry, you want me to stand on set? Sure, there's bulletproof glass, but you then want to fire weapons at me. So we're going to add some zeros to this contract now.
Yeah. I also feel like they must have read this script and really gone, wow, you weren't kidding when you said we had a bigger budget this time round.
There was one thing, actually, because by no means were you incorrect in this one, but you said something about getting a drinking game going. I want a drinking game going for as many times as you mentioned Marvel. I was watching the ups and downs, and I think we got to about 27 references.
No, but there were a lot of references to Marvel.
I absolutely, yeah. That's what I mean. Like, I get it. When you were going through, you're just like, this is quite like Marvel. Oh, it is, yeah. This is quite.
And yeah. As it's kind of hard not to draw those comparisons when you're watching, and we've already done that in terms of the unit/Avengers Tower and things like that we'd seen in the trailers and stuff. But what I find strange now that I looked at it in more detail for the Easter eggs, we have lots of Pixar references as well, and so. Are we seeing that kind of Disney influence seeping in, and those kind of little references being made to kind of acknowledge the Disney involvement now? Or does it mean something else? I mean, a lot of people suggested that the Toy Story references were a kind of foreshadowing of the toy maker arriving.
And then Rose making toys. And also, I was kind of... Now, I fully accept that maybe I'm a bit thick for this one. But when they're doing the bit where, like, Rose's memories then, kind of came to life as these toys. And it cuts to the teddy, which is supposed to represent the Daleks. And I was just like, that looks like Sully and Mike Wazowski's child.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does. And yeah. Was just like, actually, while we're on the subject of the teddies, because we were having this discussion earlier, all of them made sense to me apart from one, which was the one that was Carvanista. I don't know whether I'm just being really stupid, but to me, I feel like all the memories are memories that were from 10 and before 10 all the way down to 1, because they were the memories that were in the Doctor at the time that the Metacrisis occurred. But anything that came after that surely wouldn't be in Rose or in Donna, because they happened after the Metacrisis, when it was averted. So that one, to me, was like, I don't understand this one.
Well, Ellie, You're forgetting that the fugitive doctor was, of course, the first doctor. And when the fugitive doctor was, like, I can feel the red dot on the back of my head. Apart from the fact of, I just want a teddy of a dog, why include that one and then kind of open yourself up to...
I think my favorite one was the face of Bo. That one was like hidden in the back. It was in the Easter eggs. It was one that was like hidden on the shelf, but I noticed it. Do you know what? Fun fact, behind the scenes little story here. I didn't notice that one until after I'd filmed the ups and downs. No, after I'd filmed the Easter egg video. And that evening I watched, I can't remember what episode, but I watched an episode. I can't remember what it's called. The very second episode with Christopher Eccleston. What's it called? Is it
End of the World?
End of the World. Is that what it's called? I was going to say that and I was like, I'm questioning myself. I watched it and it has the face of Bo in it. And immediately I was like, that's what that teddy was. It's the face of Bo. And so I added a little insert because I had to mention it in the Easter eggs.
Well done.
Okay, right. I'm going to move on to the probably most controversial topic surrounding this episode. I'm going to give a little bit of my view and then I'm going to talk to you about your view as well. But obviously there's been a lot of mixed reviews towards the character of Rose. I'm not going to lie and say that I didn't have concerns before going into the episode. And I think part of that comes from the Chibnall episodes that we'd seen before. And we've spoken about this before, where Doctor Who absolutely has always contained social political commentary. I mean, and a really good example of this that I will always use is fat, green, farty aliens in Downing Street. If that's not a political commentary, I don't know what is. But you can look at it as green farty monsters in Downing Street, perhaps as a child, and not see anything beyond that. Or you can see it for what it clearly is a message for. But you can take it two ways. I think the biggest criticism for the Chibnall episodes is that they didn't integrate those messages within a Doctor Who story. So then by comparison, you have an episode that's completely plastic in the ocean killed the Earth. They didn't change the planet to be an alien planet. They didn't change the material to be some alien material. It very much was a 45-minute lecture about plastic in the ocean is going to kill the Earth. There is no subliminal messaging in that. It's very on the nose and very obvious. So I think going into these new episodes, I only watched for the first time those first RTD episodes as a child, so I saw green farty monsters. The Chibnall episodes I watched as an adult, and so it was hard not to miss those messages. Russell T Davies, if you look at the work that he's done between his first stint as showrunner and now, years and years, it's a sin. You know that he covers hard topics, and he does it well. Doctor Who is a form of escapism, so while you want to have those messages in there, you're not watching a documentary, you're not watching a docudrama, you're watching a sci-fi show that is a form of escapism from reality. And so I was concerned about how this was going to be incorporated so that it didn't just feel like he was putting in a transgender character for the sake of it, as opposed to really telling a story. I was very, very pleasantly surprised and happy with the outcome.
I was really worried for a second. I thought you were going to say, and it was so much worse.
No, I think what I really enjoyed is that it was integral to the storyline. It very easily could have been Donna has a transgender child because we want to include Yasmin Finney in the cast, and there's nothing more to it than that. We just want to include her, and so we're going to make that a thing. What I really enjoyed was that it became so relevant to the story that it was integral, as opposed to a token inclusion.
No, absolutely. I mean, nail on the head there. It was integral. It was crucial for the plot, and this to me is those who have expressed their concerns, great length, loudly, have, which is, look, I might sound scathing. You're absolutely allowed to not like something. You're absolutely allowed to have criticisms. You're absolutely allowed to pick up on criticism. I mean, hey, that's what we do. It's just me no like thing, so thing bad is not a criticism. you are always entitled to your opinion. And right, okay, I'm edging toward the soapbox here again. I know I am, but right, to get right to the nuts and bolts, I thought they handled Rose's journey excellently. Just that, I mean, how do we, in terms of the story, how do we address the fact that, yes, Rose is at least transitioning, and it's those little snot rags that go by, all right, Jason. And I think Yasmin Finney just, that stiff upper lip, while you can see that Rose is crushed by these. And then, you get the RTD, kind of like, we're going to do heavy, but we're going to add a little bit of levity as well. Donna going, I will burn down the world for you. I, love it because, parenting 101, fair play, Donna. And, it sets it up that Rose is transitioning. And then in the context of the episode, that's the one for me, that was the big thing as well, is that the fact that Rose is transgender really works and really is essential for this story.
That's the thing that I'm saying. I think I think it worked because they made it part of the story. I think if you just had boys from school calling her by her dead name and then nothing else being relevant to the story, that's when I feel like you've just put it in there for the sake of it, as opposed to it being really showing people that, look, it's almost a superhero journey, giving it that. Having said that, there was something that I wasn't so pleased by, which was the Metacrisis resolution. And there's two reasons for it. They built it up in the trailers, in the recap, in everything, that Donna's going to die if she remembers. Then she dies, then she doesn't die. And it's like, oh my goodness, look, Rose has saved the day and now they've both got it and it's great. And then it felt very anticlimactic to just let it go. I also, before you say your thoughts, I also feel like all of the commentary on Rose and non-binary, transgenderism, all of that stuff, I really enjoyed that. I think it maybe went a step too far with you didn't think like a woman, and so you couldn't let it go. That felt a little bit too far to me.
So that's, I think that's probably the biggest, or at least the most discussed topic from this episode that I've seen and engaged with. I mean, I'm not doing revisionism, as I say. As I watched the episode and I went, I did think it was more of a Donna's just teasing the Doctor here, but in the context of the moment, it does. It's like, a male presenting Time Lord would never understand this. I'm like, but we've spent the rest of the episode going like I was a woman half an hour ago.
I honestly think just that one part of it, if you'd remove that and they'd just gone, look, we have enough willpower to say that we don't want all of this power and knowledge and we'll choose to let it go. I think just that one element of it, of making a point of saying that because he was male presenting, he couldn't even comprehend that. I think that's where it just pushed it over too far.
I think as well. And I think because it's Rose that says something a male presenting Time Lord, I think even if you had just had Donna speaking for that entire bit, it's more of a friends bantering as opposed to, Rose and the Doctor don't have that, right? So even though Rose at this point is, the DoctorDonna Rose, I guess, they don't have that relationship. Yeah. They don't have that kind of the banter thing. So, and again, it might not be banter at all. I mean, that's just my read on this. I think either. So does this mean then that Donna is no longer the DoctorDonna? You know what I mean? Is that
this is the thing as well. It's like they could have done so much more with the fact that I know obviously it was going to kill them, but it had obviously been slowed down. And I feel like we didn't have a chance to really take a real dive into what that means. It was kind of as soon as it was done, it was over. And there's so many possibilities that could have been explored with them all having this knowledge. And that's something that we're going to have to. Because as of recording, Wild Blue Yonder hasn't aired yet. So this could be in the opening line of Wild Blue Yonder. They could address this. Mm-hmm. We've obviously. I'm still laughing about the coffee
in the TARDIS. But, as the TARDIS impacts wherever it's going to impact, the Doctor says, "Oh, if only you were still the DoctorDonna, then you'd be able to help," which sounds quite cruel.
I don't know if you've had a chance to see yet, but there was a Next Time trailer released for that episode. It very much feels horror vibes, and we know that Tom Kingsley did tease that he took influence from Aliens and The Thing for that episode. This is the one that I'm the most intrigued by. We know nothing about it, and I think I commented this in the Ups and Downs as well. The elements of the trailers that we thought were from Wild Blue Yonder were actually in the Star Beast, and so I genuinely don't think that we have seen anything really of Wild Blue Yonder.
For sure, because even if you think of the other trailer where Donna and the Doctor are in that helicopter and they're arriving at Unit headquarters, like that straight away says, okay, well, wherever the TARDIS has just landed, they would have to leave that place to get into a helicopter. So, I mean, yeah, it's beautifully frustrating. We haven't a clue what's coming this weekend. And I mean, Ellie, I'm saying this right now, and please, everyone, don't tag Ellie in anything, but you're going to have to turn your phone off.
I honestly am. What am I going to do on the hour on the train home from London without my phone?
Do you know what you could do? Hang on, what have I got to hand? There's a very nice new book out recently. So if we were to just,
carry a book around.
Read. Do you remember that? I sound like I'm teasing, but because it's such a fair question, I would do this exact thing. It's like, what do I do? I'm going to read something. Oh, yeah.
But I'm very intrigued by Wild Blue Yonder. I think, as I've mentioned quite a few times, it's of the three, it's the one that I'm kind of most excited for. I think the only prediction that I'm quite confident about so far is that it's only going to have Donna and the Doctor. I don't feel like there's going to be anyone else, obviously a monster or alien of some sort. But from what we've seen of the ending of the Star Beast, I feel as though it's going to just be a real deep analysis and following of them two together.
The Thing is a very interesting tease because not for a medium, the Thing can take the form of other people and wax the paranoia. It's all about paranoia, and you don't know who's real and who isn't. Thanks everyone. Watch Doctor Who.
I like that. Cold close.
There we go.